So for 4 years running, I have called this my personal favorite couples camping travel trailer out there, and they just cranked it up to 11. You have got to see this. Welcome everybody, Josh the RV Nerd of Bish's RV, down here actually at Keystone today, checking out what's new for 2025 on the Cougar family of campers. And they've done some things I didn't expect them, frankly, to ever do. First of all, some of the obvious stuff, like there's little interior decor tweaks and a couple little furniture changes, but they have finally adopted composite walls, composite flooring, composite slide walls, composite end walls. They have adopted the composite age here on Cougar. It is the first and currently only Keystone brand that has done this across their entire lineup effectively. So what this is like below your fiberglass, below your wallpaper on the inside, they have a new composite like wallboard that they're using, and they've maintained their use of hyperdeck flooring. So like a lot of Asdel using brands still had like a stick-built floor or Luan in the floor. A lot of brands like Keystone that had a composite floor still had wood in the walls. Well, Cougar is one of the very first to do both things. And I know that there's a lot of people, I've heard a lot of criticism over the last couple years. People are like, when are they going to finally go composite? Well, they have, guys. They're finally there. And any of their travel trailers like this one that do not have a full bed slide, they have completely redesigned the front pass-through storage compartment. They've given it a drop frame. When we get into the details of the front compartment, I think just that alone is impressive. Now, they've also done some things like changed up some furniture options and swaptions on this. They still have their 220 watt solar package that you can crank up to 660 with a big inverter and all kinds of other stuff if you're so inclined. Cougar has once again elevated themselves above where almost any other travel trailer goes. Like, they've maintained ABS, but they now have put a Road Armor fifth wheel suspension on this little travel trailer right here to make it one of the better handling, smoother riding, safer towing and going kind of campers out there. Now, like any RV, it's got a couple downsides, but this is threatening to be a 5-time champion in my eyes, and I'm really curious to know what you think about it. And you know, starting the video here, all I've done is really gush about a couple of the updates, and there's so many good little details, folks. Just stay tuned with me. I think you're going to really like this. But what if you've never seen this before? What if you haven't been following the Keystone Cougar family of campers for years like I do? Because you have a life, and I don't. Well, the magic of this floor plan is that it gives us a full-time non-Murphy bed, a sofa, and a dinette, all in the same floor plan in a pretty manageable, I think generally speaking, half-ton towable size. We're going to talk more about towability factors when we step outdoors. Normally, to accomplish that in this size of RV, you often have to go to some weird kind of Murphy bed or some very interesting, questionable floor plan decisions. This is kind of like it's this weird magic Goldilocks zone kind of camper floor plans that I really like. Like, it gives us good campsite window coverage. It gives us easy direct viewing entertainment. We've got the bed up front. It's a 70 by 80 RV king bed. And compared to last year, it's now more easily walked around than ever before, because they used to have a tiny baggage door up on the driver's front corner, and you'll see that that's gone, because they used to bury their water heater next to the bed. So the left side of the bed had like no walk around space. They still have a large front pass through, and they actually have an expanded docking center now. So there is still a point where you do crawl around the bed a little bit, but for the most part, you can now actually finally walk up to your hanging wardrobe closets. You don't have to completely dive and jump into bed like you used to need to. So they listened to so much feedback and they applied what they could. The trick is, like, a floor plan like this, the smaller the space, every time you add a feature, you also add potentially a different challenge. So we're going to look at the things that it does and doesn't do and let you decide if it's the right one for you. So once again, 70 by 80 king bed. A lot of builders make this floor plan. Most of them are some variety of queen. Some aren't even an 80-inch true queen. Some are a short camper queen. So this is 70 by 80 in size. Could you aftermarket swap to a true queen? Yeah, probably. Or an Olympic queen, a 66 by 80. That would be a very easy swap in for something like this. Actually, I could see somebody doing that to probably get a better mattress in it. This is one of the floor plans too, where I think that front windshield makes the most sense. Because here, I'm going to sit over here at the theater seat, and I'm going to do it slow so I don't make you motion sick. But when you sit down, that front windshield, you know, it still is like visibly part of the open space of the room. And it's that open design that makes this RV look and feel so big. Now, as long as we're staring at the entertainment, yes, it's up a little high. And yes, they are still lacking any variety of drop down TV station situation. And I hope that they work on that. And so far, the RV industry, just generally speaking, has not adopted it. But we've got decent campsite window coverage. They've enhanced their dinette this year. So it's a no knee knocker kind of dream dinette. And you've got all that awesome indirect fusion lighting underneath right there. So like it's a nighttime navigation light, but they finally included drawers on the sides of their dinette that previously it was only really found on the Western Edition Cougars. The Eastern Edition Cougars, you had to absolutely disassemble the entire dinette to get there. And it's kind of like, you know, Johnny Five from Short Circuit, no disassemble. Does anybody even know the thing that I'm talking about right now? It's super easy to miss, by the way, but you do have some household and USB outlets under there. And as long as I'm closer, notice that they're not just prepping, they're actually putting the privacy shade in the door. And in point of fact, Cougar, based on your feedback, is the reason the industry adopted a bottom-up door shade pull. Most door shades, well, almost all of them, were top down. So this allows you to maintain daytime privacy while still peeking over the thing to like look out the door to see who's coming. Now you might notice both sides of the bed have household and USB outlets. What's kind of cool here is you see those yellow stickers. Anywhere that you see that, that's an inverter prepped outlet. By default, this RV has a 220 watt solar package and it's inverter prepped. If you get the 2 more advanced solar packages, it actually includes a 2000 or 3000 watt inverter. Or because it's prepped, you can get the basic version and add those anytime aftermarket. But look at this right here. Instead of what I used to call the elephant enema storage pockets under the bed, they've actually included drawers under each of those little bedside stands now. And the stands aren't so big that I think they're really pushy and invasive and claustrophobic. It just, for me, the combination of what they're doing here based on that feedback, enhancing the walk around space around the bed, all that stuff kind of comes together for me. It's something I really like, I really respect about what they're doing here. But even the storage under the bed, it was easy lift before, but you don't have to always lift the bed to get to all the storage now because they actually included a couple very generously sized, I think, dresser drawers down there as well. And really, it almost feels like Cougar kind of said, okay, anywhere that you're going to nitpick me, okay, we're going to do it. Oh, like people said, well, why don't they use Asdel in the walls? They said, fine, we'll adopt composite. This is not the Asdel name brand, but it's composite. It's an equivalent product. It's just not the name brand Asdel. Some people didn't really love the smart command touch screeny kind of systems. So they said, you know what? We're going to simplify things so that your camping trip isn't potentially interrupted by a freaking firmware update. And they just went to a control panel, just a physical bank of switches. And frankly, the more that I've been around RVs and service stuff, the more that I'm kind of in favor of this. They're also adding 3-way switches. So you'll have a switch outside for your awning and your slides in the front pass-through. If that sounds familiar, it's very similar to what Alliance is doing. Now, the camera's going to flicker a little bit because technology, but you also have dimmable lighting here, and you'll find that through like their entire lineup, whether it's the travel trailers, the fifth wheels, just smart little detail features like that all over the place. We already kind of looked at that entertainment center right there. Notice that they're including that pantry over to the right of the entertainment center. There's a couple different people who build, well, there's a lot of different builders who make this floor plan, and not all of them actually have a dedicated kitchen pantry. So that's one of those things, if you're not paying attention, you might not realize you're missing. And smart stuff based again on user and viewer feedback. A shoe garage by the door, built right into the dinette. And again, adding drawers into the dinette where they weren't there before. It's those kind of little updates that I think people are going to like here. So if I fold this down and give you a little bit more of a look at it here, again, just basically peeking at storage, but you see how easy access everything is. One thing that I do lament to share a little bit is that they have discontinued the freestanding table and chairs option on this, which makes me really sad because it was my personal preference, but it turns out less than 2% of the 22 MLS Keystone Cougars were built with the optional table and chairs setup. Well, with that in mind, knowing that they were going to cheese off 2% of people and please 98% of people, they moved the water heater to under that dinette bench next to the pantry, which allowed for more space to walk around the bed, which a lot of other people didn't like. But here's the thing. They came up with an alternative. I've only heard about it. I haven't even seen it yet. But apparently they basically have like a dining bar buffet with a fireplace that you can swaption in place of that dinette. I will see if I can get you a look at it because I am down here at the factory, but I don't even know if they have a prototype or anything like that run yet. So if I can get a hold of it, I will do so. But in the meantime, we're going to keep on keeping on. Now over here, they went floor flush with this slide. Originally, when this floor plan was first made, this was a toe stubber slide out. And they have adopted a Norco exact slide for it. The reason I want to point that out is when we kick over into road mode. Oh, well, actually, the second generation of this floor plan had a rack and pinion slide, which was nice. It allowed for a floor flush slide like this, but it also really, really made road mode difficult. The exact slide that we're looking at will still allow for good road mode access. It still allows for floor flush slides, so you can get the nice theater seating without the toe kick in the kitchen. But when the slide's retracted, you can sit in an exact slide in that sofa while it's retracted. And that's one of the only slide systems in the entirety of the towable RV industry where you have that opportunity. I don't know if you've peeked or if you've noticed, but like if we look over here, take a look at that big window. You see how you do have blackout roller shades there. And your theater seating has updated a little bit this year. For the most part, it's still a ripcord theater seat. I do like the cup holders though, but it does have a heat and massage feature included into it, which a lot of builders and travel trailers, frankly, even a lot of builders and fifth wheels don't do. So neat little detail there. You may notice they have maintained floor ducted heating. That is one of the things that they've really kind of, they've been willing to die on that hill because floor ducted heating is a more efficient, effective system at actually heating the RV. But one of the things you might notice is they didn't cover them with a deli meat slicer. They've got a different style of floor vent cover down here that like you walk on it barefoot and it doesn't hurt. You scuff your foot across it. And again, you're not shaving your foot like you're going to shave a ham at the grocery store market or anything like that. And it still provides the better heating. It's also harder for dirt and debris to get down there. Not necessarily impossible. But if you don't like that during the summertime, when you're not cold camping, throw a rug or a runner or something over it. There's also vent filter pads that you could put under there. Just make sure you pull them out and clean them every now and then. You know, that's just good advice. Now, up top here, one of the things that they're including to help keep their 0 to 110 degree rated package is their blade air system right here. You see those different kind of AC vents that they have going on? It creates like a vortex tornado effect that effectively it sucks the air out of the air conditioning vents so that instead of the air sitting up in the attic where the sun is baking it and it's becoming less cool by the moment, it gets the air down here into the main cavity. And it does so a little more quietly and a little more effectively. It improved their CFMs, their cubic foot per minute rating, basically. And I've been in these things in the summer. It works. It does a heck of a good job. Now let's crack open all this kitchen here because this is another one of those areas where I think they did this RV very, very well. And they actually changed it up a little bit this year. The biggest change is what happened on the rear wall. They moved their power control system, the converter box, they moved it to the left under the sink so that when the slide is closed, you can still access it because that was a hard thing before. But when they did that, they created a massive space under the sink. This RV did not used to have a good space for a wastebasket in the kitchen. And that's another thing that I look for that they have finally solved for. So it's like, with their new updates, they've introduced a couple, like, we'll say like 2 or 3 new challenges that some folks may not like, but they also solved for like 8 problems that other people didn't like the bed walk around space. They got the water heater closer to the kitchen and the bathroom so that you're not, wasting water from your fresh tank through the lines just to get it to the sink and the shower. They made the RV, revamped it based on your feedback. And I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome what they're doing. They're also pretty good, generally speaking, about having outlets that are easy to reach in the kitchen. Like you obviously see them over there on the left, but there's also some inverter prepped outlets over here, which makes this a like a very easy coffee bar kind of situation. And the drawer capacity that was in this, good lord, they for a small RV, a small kitchen, I think that this RV has one of the best kitchens you're going to find in a small camper. And that's pretty typical of this floor plan. A lot of builders who make this floor plan generally have pretty good kitchens. Again, though, if I'm going to be nitpicky, since day one when this floor plan was created, they've had these exposed screw heads on this piece of trim board right here. And it's always driven me nuts because everything else has been done so nicely, so cleanly, and with so much intent. I'd put a little button cover on it. I'd be able to mask it. It's not a big deal. I have it on very good authority, though, that not immediately, but in the future, they have some things in the works that are going to just completely remove that problem. And we'll talk more about that when that actually comes to pass. We're not quite there yet. Let's dive into the bathroom space here. First of all, under the sink, one of the things that they do here that I think is really nice is they give us a like even in the bathroom a wastebasket space. I used to almost borderline consider that the kitchen wastebasket space. It's really nice that you can do that in the bathroom as well. It's a porcelain foot flush stool, and I don't know what they did from the first generation of this. I don't know how they retweaked the bathroom a little bit, but there is plenty of elbow room around that sucker that I don't necessarily recall like being there before. I think they did a really good job of that. I like windows in bathrooms too. I don't think they enhance the function of the RV typically, but I like the look of it. They are still rocking, I will say, the dollar store 4-inch fart fan. And here's what I would do. My nerd preferred swap for this, and I'm not sponsored. I don't do sponsored content. There's nothing wrong with it. I just don't do it. But a Hengs Vortex fan, Hengs. They give you 90% of the airflow of a Max Air for about 20% of the cost, if that. They're, for me, pound for pound, dollar for dollar, the better way to go. And personally, I prefer a towel bar over a towel hook. I feel like the towels dry faster. Is that just me being weird, or has that kind of been your observation and impression as well? Cracking open the bathroom storage here, you're going to get a little bit of a look at me in the mirror as we work our way around. But they do a pretty good job of that, I think, overall, for no more space than we're looking at. But with this barreled ceiling, I'm a little over 6 foot tall wearing big, thick soled shoes. I can stand in that shower all the live long day and have no problems in that whatsoever. And you might notice it's not a radius shower, it's a rectangular shower. One of the cool benefits of that, it just tends to give you more elbow space. Let me ask you, that has a 3-piece glass shower door. Do you prefer the 3-piece doors or like the retractable style doors? I'm kind of curious to hear what folks might have to say about that. But as I said, one of the other really handy aspects of this, whether the RV's in storage and you're trying to get it packed up, or if you're making a Cracker Barrel travel stop down the road, you can slide through this thing. Because while this thing's retracted, actually they've improved the travel access as compared to the last 2 seasons, and they've regained what the RV had when the floor plan first came out, because this slide system, it doesn't force the slide to stick out into the RV quite as much. So you don't need to do such a tight travel trailer 2-step to navigate through here. Now, when we get to the back, yeah, it's still a little bit tight, and you'd need to kind of reach around the corner a little bit to get to that sink, but I could make that work. But with the slide closed, you can walk from front to back to front again. You can, make a bathroom travel stop. You could do an overnight stay over. And another thing to consider when you have a model with this kind of travel access is the location of the dining. Because the dining is just over here, not in a slide, there's zero issues. Like if you need to have a big dog sleep here overnight or something like that, like you can sit down, you can have a bite to eat. There's no worries about this whatsoever. And the front bed is completely unobstructed. So this thing just absolutely crushes the Cracker Barrel camping test effectively. And if you appreciate how we take the time to close it all up and show you this kind of stuff, hit that subscribe button. Let's hop outdoors because there's so many other cool things still to come. And we step outside here. We take a second look at the weights and measures. Hopefully I remember to include those on the left side of the screen. Otherwise, you're just kind of seeing some empty dead airspace over there, and you're wondering why. For years, I've always described this as generally speaking, pretty half-ton towable. Overall, I think that still applies. The information I don't have available to me right now, though, standing here, is what is the new hitch weight of this thing? Because when you start adding a drop frame to the front end, you're adding some weight and some structure up there. So I'm really kind of curious to see how that may or may not affect the potential half-ton towability of this RV right here. I really like this just gigantic extended like stone guard diamond plate they have in the front here. I feel like, did Cougar have 30-pound propane tanks before and changed to 20s? I see so many RVs that sometimes certain little details get a little bit murky on me. I don't mind 20s. 30s are nice, I think, for folks who like boondocking or running the furnace, certainly. They have their benefits. I like 20s because, one, I'm a person who park camps, so I don't use a lot of propane, and I tend to fair weather camp almost exclusively, so I really don't use a lot of propane. But if it's a Sunday and for some reason I run out of propane, it is very easy for me to change something over and like go to a gas station to get a propane tank swap. This is one of the things I thought was really cool though. When they went drop frame, just like their big fifth wheels, they basically put a full-on enclosed docking center on this. But notice too how it actually is truly enclosed with the little partition wall. So let's say, God forbid, you have a water line like cross-threaded and you don't realize it, and then you turn the water on and it's dribbling. Well, it's going to dribble inside a plastic compartment and then dribble out of the RV. It's not going to dribble into your front storage area and then cause leaks and damage and problems. They have added this handy access panel right here to get to your fittings and your wiring. And if you're looking closely, you can see all the pecs on pecs work that they're doing there, which is, I think, what a lot of folks are looking for anyway. Aluminum structure under the bed. But look at this pass-through. First of all, again, it's very big. It's very tall. But when they went to this, they added this extra dedicated shelf right here, because even if you have cargo shifting in this front pass-through, it will keep all those expensive control modules up away from potential damage. And that is what I call using your dipstick, Jimmy. So you got your solar charge controller over there and a dedicated solar disconnect. But I love the Ahsoka Tano lightsaber beam that we have over here. People didn't used to know exactly who Ahsoka was as readily, but thankfully, Disney Plus has helped more folks become familiar with a galaxy far, far away. You still have like outdoor TV hookups on this, which very few travel trailers have. If you notice, the common thread here, if you're really paying attention, is that there's a lot of fifth wheel features wrapped up into a travel trailer. That's really kind of Cougar's whole game plan, is how much can we throw at this thing and pack onto this sucker? And as a result, yeah, they're not the least expensive, they're not the lightest weight, but they are arguably one of the most highly equipped series of travel trailers out there. Now, I mentioned solar disconnect. Up on the tongue of the RV, you actually have what they call a Gigi box, which is a battery disconnect on steroids. Effectively, it's one of the very few systems out there in the RV industry that literally 100% cuts out parasitic load. If you don't know what that is, most RVs have some variety of battery disconnect, but a lot of them still have something hooked up direct to the battery, slowly chewing at the batteries while it's in storage. Now, a solar panel on the roof, like this has, can help offset that and overcome it, but what if it's parked indoors, like this is right now? That's not going to do you any good, so having that disconnect can really help. And look, for no bigger than the sucker is, that awning is just awesome. And the way that it covers the main entry door, if it's a rainy day, it's not a problem. I've yet to find what I call the perfect RV, and I love this. Like, if I had my choice for a couples camper today, it would probably still be this. I do not care for those outside speakers, though. I don't like the extra wiring. I don't like the holes in the walls. Now, to be fair, those are surface mount speakers. They're not recessed, which means there's a very small hole in the wall, so it's not like a structural issue or anything, but remember when they moved the water heater, it does put the water heater over here on the campsite of the RV, which does mean you could potentially have a hot exhaust, a hot touch point over here on the campsite of the RV. So keep that little detail in mind. I think it's less of an issue when you're not in a bunkhouse, but it's not always my preferential item. So I hope you appreciate, even on like my favorite camper, that I'm still willing to criticize a little bit. So starting last year, Cougar adopted anti-lock braking across the board standard, and that's what the red wheel hub is representing. That is Lippert's anti-lock brake system. But look what they did. They put the same Road Armor fifth wheel suspension package on this that they put on their fifth wheels, as the name, as my description kind of implies right there. They're going to things like greasable wet bolt fasteners that they haven't even applied to this prototype yet. They're basically putting all the same running gear here on a travel trailer that you can get on a big high dollar, tow it down the road all the time fifth wheel. Very, very few travel trailers have any level of enhanced suspension. That is, if you want to keep your RV out of the shop, you find an RV that has a better suspension package, because this thing is a rolling freaking earthquake with a hurricane outside. It is jiggle banging and rattle trapping all the live long day. If you can minimize, control, and diminish the violence of road transit, every nut, bolt, widget, whiz bang, and fastener in this RV suddenly no longer has to absorb all of the brunt of the road excursion, as it will. You may have noticed power stabilizer jacks. Those are going to be standard on here. The gas grill quick connect, they don't force you into a specific griddle situation. They just give you a hookup. If you want to bring a grill or a griddle, you can. The underbelly is enclosed, forced air heated, radiant barrier. Also, they have not just a direct underbelly heat dump, but they have a heat line that directly pumps hot air specifically onto each holding tank. So the underbelly generally is heated, and then they're forced air pumping heat on the holding tanks, plus they have tank heater pads. Cougars are rated, tested, proven from 0 to 110 degrees. So a lot of people talk about the cold climate capability of their RVs, but Cougar actually does more work to give you a hot climate capable RV, because when are you more likely to go camping? Most people, it's when it's hot outside, not when it's cold. So they're kind of building for both, which I think is very cool. Now, under the rear corner back here, this is a single sewer outlet, and I love the location of it in the back corner of the RV. It's where it makes the most sense. But up top here, you've got this 250-pound rated ladder, and let's go ahead and climb up there and take a look at the roof so that we can get a little bit better look at the solar panel up here, because that's one of those things I think overall Keystone as an organization still continues to kind of lead the way for the most part on solar solutions. First, this is a 220-watt panel. What's kind of cool about their solar package that they put together is, like, you might have noticed they're using a 30-amp Victron charge controller. So if you want to slap a second panel on this, you can. And this RV is actually inverter prepped. So if you want to add a second panel and plug in like a 2,000-watt inverter into it, you can do all of that basically without being invasive in your camper and having to like rewire stuff. And here's a really cool thing. Keystone will allow you to maintain your normal warranty if you have a Keystone dealer upgrade from the 220 package to the 440 package. And most manufacturers, if you change what they did from the factory, that chunk of your warranty is gone. But they're not doing that here. They're keeping you covered. But again, I think one of the big deal updates this year for 2025 is how they've, I would almost say, finally adopted the use of composites in their sidewalls. Keystone has been using a composite flooring system for years on many of their brands. They call it hyperdeck flooring. And I am not really aware of any significant recurring frequent problems with it. It seems like it holds up very well. So Cougar is one of the very first brands at Keystone, well, the first brand currently at Keystone to also adopt, I'm going to call it double composite use in the wall. So the outside and inside layering of the wall. No longer Luan, no longer wood. You notice I keep saying composite, and I don't say Asdel. Asdel is a name brand composite. It's the one that people know best, kind of like Kleenex. But facial tissue is what a Kleenex actually is. The name brand has kind of become the name of the thing. People are familiar with the name Asdel, so they feel safe with that. But it's kind of like you can get Walmart Great Value brand ketchup, and it's basically Heinz ketchup with a different sticker on the front of it. That's essentially what you're looking at here. There are equivalent composite panels that don't say the name Asdel on them. There's nothing wrong with Asdel, but there's other things that give you the same benefits without paying for the name. And that's what Cougar's done here. They went all thriller, no filler with that. So I want to hear it. I want to hear what you have to say about this. I want to know where you think they nailed it, where you think they failed it. What did they absolutely crush, and where are they getting crushed? I'd love it if you took a few minutes to leave a couple comments. Now, to help you do some cross comparisons, I'm going to leave you some links in the video description. First of all, to check our website for pricing and availability on this big bad boy right here. Secondly, there's no shortage of other builders who now make a floor plan like this. So I want to dig a couple of those up, and you let me know which one you would go with and why. And I would love to hear from you. But again, I, for years, have been very, very personally impressed with this floor plan, and I think more so now than ever with the changes and updates they made. I kind of miss the lack of table and chairs option, but that new little hutch thing that they have, I don't hate that either, because it kind of satisfies the sort of desk space that I was always kind of envisioning with the table and chairs setup. But that's just my personal nerdy opinion. What do you think about it? And while you're leaving me a note, or not, I'm going to tell you thank you. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.